In this segment, we'll delve into the reliability of glucose sensors. We'll dissect the accuracy of sensors, trend arrows interpretation based on lag time, instances where a finger prick is required, recommendations for sensor calibration, and some extra tips and tricks. 1. Accuracy of glucose sensors. The reliability of continuous glucose monitoring systems like Libre, Dexcom, and Guardian sensors has significantly improved over time, with their mean absolute relative difference, MARD, consistently scoring below or around 10%. The MARD is widely debated as an accuracy parameter, yet sensors within MARD of 10% or less are generally accepted to be sufficiently accurate for insulin dosing without requiring additional finger prick checks. Hospital use and the accuracy of these sensors during specific situations, such as dialysis and pregnancy, remain topics of ongoing discussion. Please remember that, in hospitals, sensors are typically permitted but are checked regularly with a finger prick. Finger pricks are also advised in case of in-hospital hypoglycemia and after treating a hypoglycemia with glucose. It's important to keep in mind that sensors may be less accurate during the first 24 hours. So be cautious when taking insulin or consuming sugars based on your sensor readings during this time. 2. Lag time and trend arrows. Glucose sensors measure glucose levels in the interstitial fluid within the fatty tissue below the skin. There is usually a delay known as lag time between changes in blood glucose and the sensor's detection of these changes. In general, the lag time ranges from 5 to 10 minutes but can extend to 15 to 20 minutes during times of rapid glucose change. This lag time plays a critical role in how we interpret trend arrows. Interpreting trend arrows on your glucose sensor is crucial in diabetes management. The specific details vary across systems, but typically, a straight up or down arrow indicates that the sensor glucose level is rising or falling approximately 2 mg per deciliter per minute or 0.11 millimol per liter per minute. Numerous guidelines exist on how to adjust insulin based on these readings. However, one vital rule of thumb is that with a straight up or down arrow, the actual glucose level may already be about 30 mg per deciliter or 1.6 millimol per liter higher or lower, considering the lag time. Understanding this is vital to prevent overcorrection in instances of hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia. For instance, if you consume sugar due to hypoglycemia, there could be a delay of up to 20 minutes before the sensor reflects the rising glucose levels. In case you're unsure whether you need more sugar, it's advisable to perform a finger prick rather than solely depending on your sensor readings. Similarly, in cases of hyperglycemia after insulin injection, your glucose levels might already be dropping even if it's not yet noticeable on the sensor. If the trend arrow shows a downward trend, it's generally best to avoid further insulin injection. In case of uncertainty, performing a finger prick is recommended. 3. Situations warranting traditional finger pricks. Despite the overall reliability and convenience of glucose sensors, certain situations still necessitate the use of traditional finger pricks to confirm blood glucose levels. For instance, when your physical symptoms seem inconsistent with your sensor's readings, for example a hypoglycemia alert without symptoms of low blood glucose, it's crucial to conduct a finger prick for clarity. The same holds true when your sensor isn't providing a glucose value or a trend arrow. The rule of thumb to remember here is, when in doubt, get your meter out. 4. Finger pricks for validating sensor accuracy and calibration. When you notice a discrepancy between the sensor glucose value and your finger prick reading, it's important to consider a few factors before concluding that the sensor is malfunctioning. Here are some recommendations to keep in mind. Don't do an accuracy check on the first day you've inserted a new sensor. As a rule, all sensors are likely to show a lower degree of accuracy on their first day, hence finger prick verification should be carried out more promptly. Rather than relying on a single reading, it's advisable to cross-check your sensor's accuracy multiple times before concluding it's malfunctioning. Opt for a time when your glucose levels have been steady for 30 minutes, indicated by a flat arrow on your sensor, and also within range, that is between 70 and 180 mg per deciliter or 3.9 and 10 millimol per liter. Wash your hands before you carry out a finger prick. In case your sensor continually demonstrates a divergence from finger prick readings under stable and target range glucose conditions, consider calibrating it if it supports this feature, or replacing it with a new sensor. When contacted, most companies will typically provide a replacement sensor free of charge. 5. Interfering substances. It's important to understand that sensors can be affected by certain interfering substances. This varies depending on the sensor you use. While these are typically infrequent substances, even common ones like paracetamol can interfere with sensor readings. Dexcom sensors only show this interference when the daily dosage exceeds 4 grams, which is the maximum safe dosage for adults. However, lower doses of paracetamol can result in falsely high readings with the Guardian sensor. Thus, if you're taking paracetamol while using a Guardian sensor, an additional finger prick is recommended for cross-verification. Drinking alcohol may also interfere with the Guardian sensors, but this isn't often noticeable in everyday use. Libre sensors may show falsely elevated readings when high doses of vitamin C, specifically more than 500 mg per day ascorbic acid, are consumed. It's important to note that while this scenario is not frequently observed in Europe, if a patient mentions high vitamin C intake, it becomes an important factor to consider. Both Dexcom and Guardian sensors have reported false highs when used in conjunction with Hydrea, a medication used to treat malignant blood diseases. This is a rare situation but an important one to keep in mind if Hydrea appears on a patient's medication list. Everson sensors might give false highs when exposed to mannitol and tetracycline, even though these substances are infrequently encountered in everyday life. 6. Do's and don'ts. Many individuals, when they first start using a sensor, are alarmed by the spikes in sensor glucose following a meal. They might feel inclined to administer a corrective bolus of insulin immediately. It's crucial to remember, however, that there is still active insulin working in the body after the meal, and administering extra insulin too hastily can result in insulin stacking, an undesirable scenario that can lead to severe hypos. A common surprise for many people is the significant difference between sensor readings and those obtained from a finger prick. It's essential to understand that a sensor's accuracy can best be evaluated at times when sensor glucose levels have been stable and within the target range. Several checks are required before concluding that a sensor isn't functioning properly. Most sensors are calibrated at the factory, but they need a warm-up period of 1 to 2 hours before they start displaying glucose values. If there are significant fluctuations in sensor glucose during this warm-up period, the sensor's data may contain errors. Consequently, it's wise to replace your sensor at a time when you anticipate stable blood glucose levels, not immediately before or after a meal. Remember, mastering the use and interpretation of these sensors takes time and patience. Expect some trial and error, and know that occasional setbacks are part of the learning process. The journey to manage diabetes is filled with learning opportunities, and each experience only makes you better equipped to provide optimal care. In the next chapter of this course, we will cover how to ensure the proper adhesion of the sensor and manage potential allergic reactions.